Dr. Elias Ward sat alone in his quiet outpost on the moon of Zareth 4. Outside, the land was dry, dark, and filled with old signs of war, burned soil, broken metal, and deep craters. He had once been a soldier, but now he only healed. After Tew, the last battle, most people left this place, but Elias stayed. He said it was to clean up the mess, but deep down he didn't want to return to a life full of orders and war. Then one evening his old receiver beeped. It wasn't a normal message. The signal was weak, almost hidden under static, but it was there, a distress beacon. The code wasn't human. It came from a very old alien language, one he had studied during his medical training. Elias leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "Vylari?" he whispered. The Vylari Empire had once been powerful, known for its elegant cities and advanced technology. But after the Great Collapse, most believed the empire was gone, and the few remaining Vylari were either scattered or in hiding. Still, the beacon was real, and it was nearby. Elias grabbed his scanner and his medpack, locking the outpost behind him as he stepped out into the windy dark. The air here was thin but breathable. His boots crunched across the cracked ground as he followed the signal. After a few minutes, he reached the edge of a small crater and stopped. Inside lay a broken escape pod, half buried in ash and stone. Smoke still rose from its back panel. The hatch was open. Something or someone had crawled out. He raised his scanner. There was a life form nearby, weak but alive. Elias climbed down carefully and followed the trail. He didn't need to go far. Just 10 meters from the crash site, he found her. A young woman lay on the ground, her purple skin pale and cold. Her armor was cut in several places, and dark blue blood stained her shoulder. Her face was bruised, but her features were delicate, almost regal. Elias knelt beside her and checked her pulse. "She's alive," he said softly. As he examined her more closely, he saw the golden crest on her neckpiece, a symbol he had seen only in books. He froze. "She's a princess. Princess Serala of the Vylari Empire, if he remembered right, the last known daughter of the ancient royal line." Elias looked around. This place was dangerous. Enemy scouts, raiders, or even other humans could find her. If anyone knew what she was, she'd be taken, used for war or politics. But Elias was a healer, not a soldier, not anymore. He lifted her gently into his arms. She was light, fragile. Her body trembled slightly as if still fighting to stay alive. He turned back toward his outpost, walking as fast as he could. Back at his clinic, he laid her on the operating table. The machines blinked in confusion. Vylari biology was different, but Elias had trained for this. He took a deep breath and began his work. Hours passed. He stopped the bleeding, sealed the wounds, and treated the burns. Her breathing grew steadier. Her skin's color returned slowly. When he was done, Elias sank into the chair beside her. Exhausted, he looked at her again, peaceful now even in sleep. "Who tried to kill you?" he asked quietly. "And why were you alone?" There were no answers yet, just silence and the steady hum of life support. Elias stayed by her side all night. The next morning, a soft sound made him open his eyes. The princess stirred. Her eyes, bright, silver, opened slowly. She looked around the room, then at him. Her voice was weak, barely a whisper. "Human?" Elias nodded. "You're safe. I'm a healer." She frowned, trying to sit up, but winced in pain. Elias gently stopped her. "Don't move yet," he said calmly. "You're still healing." She looked at him again. "Why did you help me?" He thought for a moment. "Because someone had to." Her eyes blinked slowly, confused by his answer. "I was told humans do not help Vylari." Elias gave a small smile. "Not all humans are the same." For a moment she said nothing, then her gaze softened. She nodded once and closed her eyes again. Elias leaned back in his chair. Something told him this was only the beginning. And he was right. Days passed, quietly in the small outpost where Elias cared for the wounded princess. The moon's cold winds howled outside, but inside the room was warm and safe. Elias watched over Sarala carefully. Each day she grew a little stronger. Sarala was quiet at first. Her silver eyes held a mixture of fear and sadness. She did not speak much, but Elias understood she was thinking deeply. Slowly she began to trust him. One morning, Sarala opened her eyes and looked straight at Elias. "Why did you risk your life to save me?" she asked softly. Elias paused, surprised by the question. "Because no one should die alone. And because it was the right thing to do." Sarala nodded slowly. "On my world, humans are not known for kindness. You are different." Elias smiled gently. "People are not all the same, no matter their world. Some choose kindness. Some choose fear." She looked at him with new respect. "You are a healer, but also a brave man." Elias shook his head. "I am no hero. I was once a soldier. I've seen many things I wish I could forget." Sarala's face showed sympathy. "Then you know pain. So do I." As the days went on, Elias learned more about Sarala's people. The Violari were once proud and peaceful rulers of many systems, but after a great war their empire broke apart. Sarala's family was betrayed by those seeking power. She had escaped an assassination attempt and fled alone, hoping to find safety. But the human world was far from safe, especially for a Violari. "Princess?" Elias listened carefully. He felt a deep sadness for her. He had never met royalty before, but he saw she was just a person, afraid and in need of help. One evening, while Elias prepared a special nutrient serum to help her heal faster, Sarala asked quietly, "Can humans be trusted?" Elias looked at her and replied, "Trust must be earned, but I believe we can find peace, even between different worlds." Sarala smiled faintly. "You give me hope." But their peaceful time was not meant to last. One afternoon, Elias's scanner picked up strange signals nearby. It was not human, but something alien and dangerous. He hurried to check the perimeter and saw distant lights from a small patrol ship closing in. Elias's heart raced. If the patrol found Sarala, she would be taken back to her enemies or worse. He had to hide her, but the outpost had only so many places. He told Sarala, "We must prepare. They will come soon." Sarala nodded. "I will stay hidden. You are my only hope." Together they planned how to keep her safe. Elias moved supplies and covered windows. He set traps and alarms. Every sound outside made them tense. That night, the patrol arrived. A group of human soldiers landed nearby, scanning the area for signs of unusual activity. Elias kept quiet. Sarala stayed still and silent in a hidden room. The soldiers moved slowly, checking the ruins of old buildings and the outpost's broken walls. Elias knew they must not find Sarala. If the soldiers knew who she was, they would capture her immediately. Hours passed. The soldiers finally left, but Elias knew they might return. He needed a better plan. The next day, Sarala tried to stand with Elias's help. Her legs were still weak, but she wanted to move. "I must learn to fight again," she said. "My people will not survive if I remain helpless." Elias smiled. "You are stronger than you know." They trained quietly. Elias taught her how to use basic weapons and defend herself. Sarala's skills surprised him. She was quick and clever, but more importantly, determined. During these moments, they shared stories of their pasts. Elias spoke of Earth, a world filled with both beauty and struggle. Sarala told tales of her home planets, lush cities with shining towers and starry skies. Their bond grew stronger, built on trust and respect. One evening, as stars shone above, Sarala looked at Elias and said, "You saved me when no one else would. I owe you my life." Elias shook his head. "It was my choice. I don't expect anything in return." Sarala smiled softly. "Maybe not now, But one day you will understand what you gave me." Elias looked curious but said nothing. Outside, the danger grew. Enemy scouts were still searching the area, and time was running out. Elias and Sarala knew they couldn't hide forever. But, in the quiet moments, they found peace in each other's company. The human healer and the alien princess, two souls from different worlds, sharing hope for a better future. And so the story of their journey had only just begun. The days passed slowly, but the danger grew closer. Elias could feel it in the air. The quiet before a storm. Outside the small outpost, shadows moved across the cracked ground, and strange signals hummed on his scanner. Sarala was stronger now. Her wounds had mostly healed, and her silver eyes shone with a new fire. Yet she remained cautious. Trust was not easily given, especially when enemies hunted her from both human and alien sides. One morning, Elias sat beside Sarala, sharing a small meal of simple food. She looked out the window toward the horizon, where distant lights flickered. "They are coming," she said softly, "both my people and yours." Elias nodded. "I've detected patrols nearby. They don't know you are here, but they search." Sarala turned to him. "Why do you risk so much to protect me? Humans and Vailari have fought for generations." Elias met her gaze. "Because I believe people can change. War does not have to be our future." For a moment they sat in silence. Then the sharp beep of Elias's scanner broke the calm. "Movement approaching fast," Elias said, standing quickly. "We have little time." They moved to a hidden room Elias had prepared beneath the outpost. It was small and cramped but secure, with reinforced walls and no windows. Sarala took a deep breath and steadied herself against the cold metal. "I will not run forever," she said. "One day I must face my enemies." Elias placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "And I will be with you when that day comes." Outside, the first ship appeared, cutting through the dusty sky like a shadow. It was Vailari, sleek and black, with sharp angles designed for speed and stealth. A second ship followed, human, large and sturdy, with heavy armor. The two ships circled the outpost. It was clear they both hunted the same target. Elias knew this could lead to disaster. Neither side wanted to negotiate. Both wanted control. As the sun set, the outpost became a place of quiet tension. Elias prepared his small medical kit ready for whatever came next. Sarala practiced with a compact energy pistol Elias had found among the ruins. Her hands were steady, her aim improving. Suddenly the doors shook as heavy footsteps approached. Elias signaled Sarala to stay silent. The first group to arrive were Vailari hunters, dressed in dark armor with sharp helmets. They moved quickly, through the ruins, scanning for life signs. Elias held his breath as they passed near the hidden room. The hunters spoke in low tones, discussing their mission. "We cannot fail. The princess must return," one said. "She holds the key to the throne." Elias's heart pounded. If they found Sarala, all would be lost. Minutes later, the second group appeared. Human soldiers with bright uniforms and advanced weapons. They came with orders to capture any unauthorized aliens. Their leader barked commands, and scanners swept the area. Elias stayed motionless, hoping the small room would keep Sarala safe. But then footsteps stopped nearby. One soldier approached the hidden door and knelt to examine it. Elias's mind raced. If they opened it, the secret would be revealed. He glanced at Sarala, who nodded. She was ready. Suddenly, the soldier triggered a panel, and the door hissed open. Elias stepped forward quickly. "Stop! She is under protection!" The soldiers hesitated, confused by Elias's sudden appearance. Sarala rose slowly, standing between Elias and the soldiers. Her eyes flashed silver. "I am Princess Sarala of the Vailari Empire," she said clearly, "and Elias is my protector." The soldiers exchanged uncertain looks. The Vailari hunters nearby halted as well. For a moment silence fell over the outpost. Then a Valari commander stepped forward. "You dare hide the princess?" he demanded. Sarala raised her hand. "I choose my protector," she said firmly. "He saved my life. That is my choice by ancient law." The commander's eyes narrowed. "You humans do not understand our customs," he said. "But this is the law of our people." The human leader looked to Elias. "Who are you to claim such a bond?" Elias met their gazes steadily. "I am a healer. I saved her because it was right. I stand by that choice." The tension remained thick, but neither side made a move to attack. Sarala's words had stopped them, for now. Elias looked at Sarala and saw determination in her eyes. "We must leave this place," she said softly. "The time for hiding is over." Elias nodded. "We will face them together." As night deepened, Elias and Sarala prepared to leave the outpost. They gathered supplies and weapons, ready for a journey that would take them far from this broken moon. Before leaving, Elias paused by the window and looked at the stars. He thought about the battles he had fought and the friends he had lost. But now, with Sarala by his side, he felt something new: hope. Together, they stepped out into the night, ready to face whatever dangers the galaxy held. Elias and Sarala moved quickly through the shadows of the ruined outpost, their footsteps light but steady. The night air was cold, and the sky above was filled with stars that seemed distant and indifferent to their struggle. Both knew staying meant danger, not just from the hunters and soldiers who searched for them, but also from old enemies hiding in the darkness of the galaxy. "We cannot stay here any longer," Sarala said quietly. Her silver eyes reflected a fierce determination. "My enemies are too close." Elias nodded. "I have been thinking about a way out. There is an old scout pod nearby, damaged but maybe still usable." Sarala's face showed hope for the first time in days. "A scout pod? Can it take us far?" "Not far, but far enough to get off this moon," Elias replied. "Then we can find a safer place to plan." Together they hurried toward the crash site Elias had discovered days before. The pod lay half buried in the rocky ground, its sleek shape scarred and covered with dust. Elias crouched beside it and opened a small panel. "The controls are old, but I think I can get it running." Sarala watched him work, admiring his skill. "You have saved me once. Now you save us again." Elias smiled, though his mind was busy. "I am no pilot, but I can manage." As Elias worked, Sarala looked around carefully. The moon was quiet, but she could feel the tension in the air. The enemy would not give up easily. "We need supplies," she said. "Food, water, fuel for the pod." Elias agreed. "There is a small human supply station a few kilometers from here. Abandoned, but it may have what we need." They made a plan to reach the station under cover of darkness. Before leaving, Sarala placed her hand on Elias's arm. "Thank you, Elias. Without you, I would not be alive." Elias looked at her. "It is my duty, but also my choice." The journey to the supply station was tense. The rocky landscape was rough, and every sound made them alert. They moved slowly, hiding behind boulders when patrol ships passed overhead. When they reached the station, it was dark and empty. The building was old, with cracked walls and broken windows, but inside, there were supplies still stored on shelves. Elias and Sarala worked quickly, gathering food rations, water, and tools. Elias found a small fuel container labeled for Scout, pods, and carefully filled their tanks. As they packed, Sarala looked at Elias and smiled. "You remind me of the healers from my world, strong, careful, and patient." Elias laughed softly. "I'll take that as a compliment." Suddenly, a noise echoed from outside. Footsteps approached the station. They froze. A figure appeared in the doorway. It was one of the Vailari hunters. Sarala stepped forward, calm but ready. Elias stood beside her, holding a small blaster. The hunter's eyes narrowed. "You should not be here, Princess." Sarala raised her head. "I am not your prisoner." The hunter hesitated, then nodded slowly. "You are brave to face me." Elias felt his heart pound, but he stood firm. We want no fight. We only want to leave this place. The hunter looked at Elias with surprise. A human protector? I have heard rumors. He glanced at Sarala again. If you leave, you must leave the past behind. Sarala looked at Elias, then back at the hunter. I am ready. The hunter stepped aside and disappeared into the night. Back at the scout pod, Elias finished the final checks. The small craft hummed quietly, its engines ready. Sarala sat beside him, still weak but determined. Where will we go? Elias took a deep breath. To the neutral zone, a place where no one rules. Sarala nodded. A new beginning. With a sudden roar, the pod lifted off the ground and soared into the starry sky. Below them, the moon grew smaller as they escaped the dangers behind. As they flew, Elias looked at Sarala and asked, What will you do when we reach safety? She smiled softly. I will rebuild. My people need hope. And you? Elias looked out the window. I will heal, wherever I am needed. Sarala took his hand gently. Together, then. They sat in silence, watching the stars pass by. Two souls from different worlds bound by trust and a shared future. The small scout pod glided smoothly through the dark emptiness of space. Elias and Sarala sat side by side, tired but hopeful. The stars outside twinkled like distant fires, silent witnesses to their flight. They were heading toward the neutral zone, a place where no warships dared to enter, a place where Sarala could begin again. But peace was not easy to find. Elias checked the pod's communication system. Suddenly, a sharp beep sounded. A message was coming in. He hesitated, then opened the channel. A familiar voice spoke, cold and sharp. Elias, this is Captain Drayden of the Human Task Force. You are under arrest for harboring an alien royal without permission. Surrender your location. Immediately. Elias's heart sank. Captain, Elias replied calmly. I am protecting a life. I will cooperate. But I cannot surrender her to danger. Drayden's voice hardened. You know the laws. You are to bring her in, or we will take action. Elias ended the call and looked at Sarala. They have found us, he said. We cannot run forever. Sarala's eyes shone with determination. We faced them together. Within minutes, the pod's sensors detected two ships approaching rapidly, one human, one Velari. Elias prepared the pod's defense systems, though he hoped to avoid conflict. As the ships closed in, bright lights shone through the pod's windows. The pod shook slightly as it was scanned by external sensors, then a signal from the human ship came through. This is Captain Drayden. We order you to surrender, Elias answered firmly. I will not surrender the princess. She is under my protection. The Velari ship responded in a strong voice. This is Commander Kalen. The princess belongs to the Velari Empire. Stand down, human. Sarala stood, her voice steady and loud. I am not a prisoner. I am the rightful heir. Elias saved me, and I claim him as my protector under the ancient law of the Silent Hand. There was a pause on both ships. Elias explained, softly to Sarala. This law means you choose your protector. It is binding. Sarala nodded. It means we face this together. Suddenly, the human ship's commander made a decision. Prepare to board the pod, he ordered. At the same time, the Velari ship's weapons powered up, a warning shot fired into space. Tension rose like a storm. Elias quickly activated the pod's emergency jump system, a risky move, but the only way to escape. The pod vanished in a flash of light, leaving both ships behind. They found themselves in a small, hidden star system far from the battle. Elias sighed with relief. But the danger was not over. Suddenly, alarms blared in the pod. Another message came through, but this time it was from someone unexpected, one of Elias's former comrades. Elias, you betrayed us. You hide an enemy princess. You will face justice. Elias's heart ached. He had trusted this person once. Sarala looked at him with concern. Why would they betray you? Elias shook his head. Fear and misunderstanding. But I will not let that stop us. Days passed as they hid in the secret system. Elias used his medical skills to heal Sarala fully, while she shared stories of her people's history and culture. One night, Sarala looked at Elias with a soft smile. You saved me, and now you face betrayal. I owe you more than life. Elias smiled back. We owe each other trust. Sarala reached out and touched his hand. In my culture, a gift is given to those who save a life. Elias looked curious. Sarala closed her eyes and focused. A gentle light surrounded them both, and Elias felt a strange warmth and connection. This is the Vailari gift of insight, she explained. It links our minds, sharing thoughts and feelings. Elias was amazed. This gift will help us face the future. The bond between them grew stronger. Elias felt not only hope but a deep sense of purpose. They were no longer just healer and princess. They were partners, bound by trust and destiny. As they planned their next move, Elias wondered what surprises the galaxy still held. But one thing was certain. Together, they would face anything. The hidden star system was quiet, a small haven away from the endless conflicts of the galaxy. Elias and Sarala had spent weeks there, recovering and planning their next steps. Sarala's strength had fully returned, and the strange connection they shared, the Vailari gift of insight, had grown deeper. They could feel each other's thoughts and emotions without speaking, a bond unlike anything Elias had ever known. One morning, the silence was broken by a soft hum outside the pod. A ship approached, sleek and bright, bearing the mark of the Galactic Council, the neutral body that ruled over all space, a place where no war could touch. Sarala's eyes sparkled with hope. The Council. This is where we must go. Elias nodded. They will hear your story. Maybe they will help. The Council ship docked gently beside the scout pod, and Elias and Sarala stepped inside. The corridors were vast and clean, filled with beings from many worlds, all united by a desire for peace. They were brought before the Council's leaders, a group of wise and patient elders from different species. Their faces were serious but fair. Sarala stepped forward and spoke clearly. I am Princess Sarala of the Vailari Empire. I was betrayed and hunted by those who want to keep power by fear. Elias saved my life and protects me. We ask for the Council's protection and recognition. Byberdir, Council listened carefully. Elias stood beside her, ready to answer questions. The leaders asked about the ancient law Sarala had invoked, the silent hand, and the bond of protector. Elias explained how he had healed her and sworn to protect her life. After long discussion, the Council rose. One elder, a tall being with deep blue skin and gentle eyes, spoke. Princess Sarala, your claim is just. The law of the silent hand is honored across many worlds. Elias, your courage and kindness have proven your worth. To the surprise of many, the Council formally recognized Elias as the royal protector of the Vailari crown. This title gave him rights and duties within the Vailari Empire, marking him as a guardian of their people. But Sarala had more to give. In a quiet ceremony, she presented Elias with a small, elegant pendant, the symbol of her royal house. She touched it gently to his chest. This is more than a gift, she said softly. It is a promise. You have given me life and hope. Now, I give you my trust, my respect, and a place by my side. Elias felt warmth spread through him. The pendant seemed to pulse gently, a sign of their new bond. As they left the council chambers, Sarala smiled at Elias. You have crossed worlds and risked everything for me. Now we face the future as allies. Elias nodded. Together, we can rebuild your people, and maybe find peace between our worlds. Sarala's eyes shone with determination. Yes, the Vailari need a new path, one of hope, not fear. Back on the council ship, Elias and Sarala spent hours planning their journey. They would travel to the Vylari homeworld, long lost to many, but still alive in secret. There, Sarala hoped to gather loyal followers and restore her empire's honor. Elias listened and offered advice from his own experience. Though a healer, he understood leadership and sacrifice. As the ship prepared to leave, Elias looked out the window at the stars stretching endlessly ahead. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. Sarala took his hand. "With you, I believe, we can change the galaxy." Their bond was no longer just survival. It was a new chapter of trust, hope, and unity between human and Vylari. Together they faced a future where old enemies might become allies, and where healing was not just for bodies but for worlds. The vastness of space stretched endlessly before Elias and Sarala as their ship neared the Vylari homeworld. It was a planet once known for its beauty and power, but now scarred by war and neglect. Yet to Sarala it was still home, a place worth saving. Elias stood beside her in the observation deck, watching the swirling clouds and ruined cities below. He could see the hope in her eyes, even as she grieved for what had been lost. "We will rebuild," Sarala said softly. "Not just buildings, but trust, between Vylari and humans." Elias nodded. "It will not be easy, but together, we are stronger." Landing on the planet was a cautious process. Old loyalists of Sarala's family awaited them in secret, hidden from the eyes of enemies. The moment the princess stepped onto the soil, many came forward to greet her, their faces filled with relief and respect. Elias was welcomed too, not as an outsider, but as the chosen protector and healer who had saved their future. Whispers spread quickly about the human who stood beside the Vylari princess, a symbol of hope in dark times. In the days that followed, Sarala addressed her people. She spoke with passion about unity, peace, and rebuilding a future that included not only Vylari but humans and others. Her words inspired many, but there were still those who doubted. Elias worked quietly behind the scenes, healing wounded bodies and minds. He helped establish clinics and trained new healers, sharing knowledge from Earth and beyond. His presence brought calm and comfort. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the city, Elias and Sarala stood together overlooking the rebuilding efforts. The streets were filled with people working side by side, alien and human, young and old. Sarala turned to Elias. "You changed how my people see humans." Elias smiled. "We are not so different. We all want peace." She nodded. "Thanks to you, I believe we can have it." But challenges remained. Old enemies lurked in shadows, and the scars of war were deep. Yet Sarala and Elias faced each obstacle with courage, knowing that every small step forward was a victory. Their bond grew stronger, built on respect, trust, and shared purpose. What began as a chance meeting between a human healer and an alien princess had become a powerful alliance. As months passed, the Vylari homeworld slowly healed. New laws were written to protect all peoples, and bridges were built between cultures. Humans and Vylari worked together, learning from each other's strengths. Elias found a new home among the stars, not just as a healer, but as a leader. Sarala stood proudly by his side, no longer just a princess in hiding, but a queen with a vision. One quiet night, beneath the endless sky, Elias and Sarala stood hand in hand. The stars above seemed brighter, full of promise. "We have come far," Elias said softly. Sarala smiled. "And the journey has just begun." Together, they looked to the future, a future where differences were celebrated, where courage and kindness could change worlds. The human healer who rescued an alien princess had given her more than life. He had given her hope. And in return, she had given him a place in a new world. The galaxy watched as a new story began, one of friendship, healing, and the power of trust between worlds.